Hello, here's a full disassembly guide on Typhoon 12, a 12 gauge semi-automatic shotgun from Typhoon Defence Industries. First you remove the magazine, make sure the chamber is empty. It is. Remove the muzzle brake. Then you unscrew the handguard nut. Remove the handguard. And here you can see the gas mechanism. Unscrew the extractor nut. Now the barrel can be removed. You can also remove this gas piston, and it becomes really dirty when you shoot along with the gas room. So I'm used to cleaning it after shooting the shotgun. Anyway, you can also remove this gas extractor, but you can pretty much clean it without removing, and if you do remove it, then putting it back in place is a difficult task because it's spring loaded, and the spring is rather strong, and you need to push against the tension of the spring while at the same time trying to engage the threading here. So I just don't advise you to remove this thing ever. Just make sure it's tight, because it can unscrew itself when you're shooting. Then to remove the bolt, you need to align the charging handle with the center of this slot, and to do this you hold the bolt carrier against the action rod, and then the bolt moves freely, and you just align it like that and pull the charging handle out, and then you can remove the bolt, the bolt carrier, and the action spring, and also this action forwarder. And then you want to take apart the upper and the lower receiver, and it's not entirely obvious how you do this because you don't see any pins you can push out or any visible screws, but there is in fact a screw, at least in the collapsible stock version. It's down this stock tube, and I learned it the hard way because my stock started wobbling, moving here, and I didn't pay attention to it until my lower receiver just broke while shooting. Yeah, and no, actually I did pay attention. At first I noticed that there's a noticeable gap between the upper and the lower receiver, and I didn't know how to fix it, so I even contacted the Typhoon Defence Industries and asked them how do I do full disassembly of the shotgun, and they replied that I shouldn't do a full disassembly because only a certified gunsmith should disassemble the shotgun, which is pretty ridiculous to me, but In fact, I did bring my shotgun to a, I don't know if certified or not, to a gunsmith to repair it, and he did pretty good job repairing the broken lower receiver. But after that I asked for a replacement, so my lower receiver is slightly newer than the rest of the shotgun. So to remove it, you first need to remove the stock, and one way to do this is by using pliers to pull on this rod, while at the same time pulling the stock back. Like this. And then the screw is down this tube, so you need a really long tool to reach it. First I got me this long cable screwdriver, but maybe my screwdriver is bad, or maybe it's just not the right tool, but I wasn't able to use it. In fact, it started to unwind this cable, but the screw did not move. So then I bought another tool which did the job. This long wrench with removable heads, and the head is, I believe, 5mm hex. So you reach down the tube, it's removed. Here is the screw with a washer, and you can see it not only holds in place the stock tube, it also holds together the upper and the lower receiver. Here the metal part is the upper receiver and the plastic part is the lower. And now nothing holds them together but the tension and the friction. So you need to pull the lower receiver this way and the upper receiver together with the rod, which is part of the upper receiver, pull it that way. So like that. Not exactly easy to do. I did do this by hand, but only because I disassembled the shotgun earlier. But after shooting, I'm not always able to do this by hand, so what I learned to do is I sit on the floor and then I grab the rod with both of my hands, and I use one foot, place my left foot here, and then I push the pistol grip with the foot and use both hands to pull on the rod, and it works every time. So this is the lower receiver with the trigger mechanism, the hammer, and the bolt hold open and bolt release, the safety. I didn't disassemble the trigger group because wasn't a need for me, and I did remove this bolt release, but I don't advise you to do this because there's a small spring here which you can easily lose, and if you don't lose it, then still it's difficult to put it back, so just don't remove it. And if you do want to remove it, then it's done by pulling it upwards. Then the reverse procedure is same but in reverse. Put the upper receiver on the lower and make them click. Then put back the stock tube. I find it easier to do by first placing the screw on my tool and then placing the screw, putting it through this hole. Make sure it's tight, but also make sure you don't over tighten it, because I think this part can also break from over tightening it. And even if you don't plan to do full disassembly but have the shotgun, I still advise you to have this tool, because when you shoot, sometimes the screw becomes loose and the stock starts wobbling, and you may be one shot away from breaking your lower receiver. And another way to remove or install the stock is to use some stiff rod and raise this handle and leverage the small pin with the rod, and at the same time push the stock on the tube, just like that. Operation spring. Then you put the action forwarder on the bolt carrier. It seems complicated fit, but there's really only one way you can fit it, so you'll figure it out. Then place the bolt on the bolt carrier. This is the bolt face. And again align the bolt with this slot and put the charging handle back in place. And don't forget to put the gas piston in the gas room. To put the barrel back in, you need to pull the bolt back, and just like that. Don't pinch your fingers. finger nut. And the muzzle brake. And no parts left on the table. I call it a success. And let's see if it still works. It does. Nice.